Hey, welcome back to TechBilly83 here on YouTube. So, we're gonna go back to the old generator project. I mean, it's not really old, it's just, it's been kind of waiting for parts. All right, let's get right into it. So, you may remember in a previous video, oh man, I had one of these things sitting on top of the carburetor. Something, yeah, like that. And basically, I had the propane line connected into the little, almost quarter-inch sized, hose attachment thing there, we'll call it. And basically, that was for the crankcase breather on the engine. And I was able to feed this thing propane and get it to do things. But, there was some manual control. You may remember that I was, putting my hand over there in order to generate the proper amount of vacuum in order to suck the propane out of the demand regulator, out of the tank. So, I wasn't too thrilled with, how that whole thing was turning out. So I ordered a carburetor from a place on eBay. It was Nash Fuel. And the top of the carburetor looked correct. It even had the little choke arm thingy. But the bottom, where it actually interfaced with the engine, was not correct. And I just was unable to determine that from the pictures that were on eBay. They just didn't have pictures of the bottom of the carburetor. But once it showed up, I quickly figured that out. I also quickly figured out how they basically, took a carburetor for propane and set it up for, a gasoline engine. So basically they had just tapped right into where the gasoline, fuel line inlet was. If we look at the top of our original carburetor that was on this engine right here, this is the guy. That right there, that brass fitting, is where the gasoline would go in from the quarter-inch fuel hose. I have removed the tank from this here generator apparatus because after I manhandled everything to hook this up, it started leaking and it leaked gas all over the place, and I just didn't want my place to blow up. So, it was a fairly straightforward conversion that those guys had done on a carburetor, and I said, you know what? I can do that too. I probably didn't want to, because that's still a good gasoline carburetor. It's still got the jets and the, oh, that one's bent now. Oh crap, get back in there. Yeah, I want to kind of hang on to that one. The other half of the other thing is like in there. So what I did, long story short here, let me cut to the chase for you. I went on eBay, and if you're familiar with, how things are today with ethanol fuel, you know that it's worth buying the $20 carburetor on eBay and just replacing the whole damn carburetor than it is to go in there and clean out a fouled carburetor from, our friend ethanol, because the federal government knows best. So I said, you know what? For $20, I will get a new carburetor, and that's what the top half of this. The top half of this carburetor just bolted right onto the one that was on the engine. So I don't know if it's like OEM or if maybe the carburetor that was on this engine was replaced once already, but whatever, I'll take the win. Big solid win at this point. So you will notice here that I've got the same, cob job of the literal 3/8 air hose, PVC air hose, that I jammed into the 5/8 rubber propane line off of the regulator there. Well, that's not the regulator, that's the diaphragm valve. The regulator, stage 1 is here, and stage 2 is down there. So what I did here is I drilled this out. So I removed the brass fitting that you see there. I threw some vice grips on it and just gave it the business, and it popped right out. there was some other inserts and such inside of there, and I said, screw it, I'm just sending a drill bit in there. So that's about a 1/4-inch hole, whether you can determine that through YouTube or not. I'm telling you, it's a 1/4-inch hole. So I went to Lowe's and found a 1/4-inch NPT, National Pipe Thread. So that's the part that's threaded inside the aluminum here, with a 3/8 barb. So it's the ridged thing that you can put a hose on and it won't come off. You know what I mean? We got our fancy schmancy hose clamp there that it's on with all of the tightness. So I drilled this out with a hang on, let me back up. I drilled this out with a 7/16 drill bit because I went on Google and said, what size drill bit do I need for 1/4-inch NPT? And Google said 7/16. So drilled this out with a 7/16 drill bit. I happen to have a 1/4-inch NPT pipe thread sitting in the drawer with all my other taps and dies. 1/4-inch NPT pipe thread tap, I should say. And I drilled it out. I tapped it, blew it out with air, cleaned this whole thing up real good. Put my brass fitting in there. Will this actually come off? No, it ain't gonna come off. It's on there good and tight. So that's what we want. I mean, I'll probably have to redo this when it's time to actually put this into production, but, because this whole air hose thing is just temporary. Although I may use the air hose in the final deployment because seeing as how it's yeller and everything, that's kind of the color for gas, for flammable gas. So I may, use this somewhere, somehow. Anyway, so a key point of order here to note is the fuel delivery comes in below the choke plate. So on this engine, this used to be a gasoline engine, so it's got a choke. It's got a manual choke. I don't have the wood chipper in here currently, but the wood chipper has the EFI, electronic fuel injection, so there's no choke on that engine, even though it is a Kohler motor, just like this one. So here we have our choke lever, which goes back to this linkage here, which goes to there, which, if I move this, you can see it moves the choke plate, which that's how a choke is supposed to work. That's what a choke does. A choke restricts the airflow so that when the engine is first firing, you get more gasoline than you do air in order to get the thing going. And then once it's firing and running, it's gonna run rough until you open the choke and feed it the appropriate amount of air so that it meets the right fuel-air mixture and runs at full potential. So, remember in the first video there? Where'd that thing go? There it is. This stupid thing where I was manually, putting my hand over here and, massaging it until it would run correctly. That is what our choke plate's gonna do for us by default. And the nice thing about the choke plate is that we got the whole linkage here set up and it's real stiff. It's like a set it and forget it. So we set this to where we need it to be so that when the engine is cranking, the intake air pulse is restricted by the choke plate through that little gap right there, thus creating a Venturi effect, which is going to send a pulse of vacuum down this line to our demand regulator and open the demand regulator, and voila. So, enough of me yammering. Let's cut to the chase here. Bottle on, that's good. You're gonna hear that big old click when we turn on the switch here, and basically what I did is I tapped into the fuel cutoff solenoid for the original gasoline carburetor. That now goes to our shutoff valve for the propane. So, listen up and behold. So, why does this matter? Well, for those of you who may not have been following along all this time, when the transfer switch, the automatic transfer switch, flips on the little circuit that says engine start, and basically does what I'm doing here with my fingies to, hit the starter switch, this thing just needs to get up and go. There can't be someone there to manually manipulate the choke because this is for an automatic generator. So you may have noticed that when it initially started there, it was running rough, and I had to kind of change the adjustment here. So let's make sure that it's going to fire up again. I know it will. I have played with this quite a bit, too much glee and satisfaction. So I know that there is the sweet spot where it will fire over and over again repeatedly. I wouldn't be making this video if I wasn't sure of that. So let's do it again. Yeah, why not a third time? No gas fuel tank, gasoline. We have gaseous LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, which is a refinery byproduct of making crude oil into gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, kerosene, light metal or light lubricants, etc. This is the way it needs to be because the automatic generator is running on propane. So now finally, we're in a position to take this generator that makes electricity, literally forklift it into position over there where I had the whole, crazy laboratory going on with the other Briggs & Stratton gen set. So we're going to remove the Briggs & Stratton. We're going to put this guy in there. And we're going to pick up where we left off, finally, and get this guy in line and then do some load tests, hopefully within the next 2-3 days. So stand by for some more action on the generator project because finally, everything aligned correctly. And I have now a carburetor, even though it's not like a factory-made carburetor. I cob jobbed this. I drilled it out. I tapped it. I put the fitting in there. I took out the floats, which are these things here that float up and down and close that valve, which, stops the flow of gasoline from the tank down into the carb. I took these brass things off. I gutted it. Basically, the only thing that's in there is the aluminum housing, the gasket there, that black rubber gasket, and the brass fitting, and the choke doohickey, and the flappy flap. So, I basically made my own carburetor conversion after I saw, a real professional conversion that, I bought on eBay that just didn't happen to fit. The bottom of that guy was circular. It wasn't square like this one is. So, and I couldn't tell from the photos that were on eBay. But, yeah, finally, we got this generator in a position where we can hook it in. This one makes power. This one is a little bigger. In previous videos, I said this alternator is probably like 20 to 30% larger than the same rated 10K alternator that was on the Briggs & Stratton. So we should be good to go here to get this guy in production hopefully tomorrow or the next day. Get it all wired up, get the transfer switch connected to it so that the transfer switch can actually control the starter circuit and actually do some load tests with it. So this is Tech Billy 83. Like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully we see some, not angry pixies, but we see sparklies. No, I don't want to see sparklies when I'm working with electricity. I don't know what I'm saying here. I want to see good signs. That's what I want to see. I want to see this thing making electricity, and then all my things. I want to see all the things running off of this generator, hopefully tomorrow or the day after. So, yeah, good update. I'm kind of pleased with how this turned out. I mean, I'm not kind of pleased. I'm very pleased. We're going to throw the air cleaner back on this for our testing so that we're not sucking crap in here and grenading the motor. I mean, that would be my luck, you know? Some squirrel would drop a nut or something in there. All right. Well, enough of me rambling. Like, share, and subscribe. TechBilly83 checking out and standing down for the night here, Thursday night. Finally, it's warm outside. All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.